We all want to be better versions of ourselves. Well, most of us do. But it always takes too much time, too much effort. Imagine you could undergo a short process or just wake up and rid yourself of all your mental issues, your addictions, your doubts, fears, and become far more intelligent. Or to improve your biological abilities. Be better, faster, stronger, hung like a horse. Introduce transhumanism, which generally covers this want, this desire to be all of these things through biological or mechanical changes of the body. But it has its shortcomings when it comes to its plausibility and ethics. But generally it sounds like a good fix-all, doesn't it? Cool. Now replace the word transhuman with posthuman, because your age of humanity is now behind you, and remove all ability to enjoy or process your newfound traits. Oh, and also you're forced to do it, because malcompliance will not be tolerated. This is humanity under the Combine, unless you're someone who chooses not to live a better life, in which you'll be systematically relocated, starved, beaten by your high school bully with a nightstick, lose your memory, and have yourself and your family constantly be under surveillance and threatened. And speaking of your family, good luck trying to make one, because your urges to create one have been nullified, and you're also biologically incapable of even procreating. Earth, which we lost by the way, really quickly, like 7 hours quick. I mean, just think about it for a second. You could have started and ended your day all within the same fucking DMV line. Except, to add to that, your house now looks like Reach. But anyway, this new Earth under the Combine is pretty bleak. Your resources are being stripped, your people are being ruthlessly beaten and herded like cattle, and your new leader is a betrayer of your own species. But despite all this effort put into this extensive backstory and world building to create the atmosphere within Half-Life 2, we actually barely see any of it. Seriously, like a decent extent of that Combine's might is borderline blink and you'll miss it. The environment was a lot more obvious in the game's beta, but considering the final game is based in Eastern Europe, you might have a hard time actually distinguishing what was there before the Combine and what was after. Essentially, what I'm getting at is, the Combine are fucking terrifying. What makes the Combine so horrific to me is the completely alien and disconnected nature of the Union. There's no human instinct or emotions attached to them. They don't necessarily hate you in particular, they just use your evolution and your planet against you. They're not based on human emotions like AM or the Q, or informing a prideful superstate like Big Brother. They're completely remote, corporate. They care only for their biological needs. And despite having a traditional military presence, they still don't need to abide by rules or adhere to some sort of national pride. There's no concept of honor. The Combine only needs to squeeze you of everything you're worth to them, just for their survival. There's a sense of biological exclusivity when it comes to the Combine's hierarchy. We can assume that whatever species of alien at the top of the chain is in some way biologically or intellectually superior to humans. However, the most we ever see within Half-Life is nothing but grunts, specialists, utilities, and middle management. Even if you were to join Civil Protection or be promoted to Overwatch Security, it's still unlikely you'll see who's giving you your directives. The AI computer system that herds the average citizen is the same one cluttering your comms and threatening you all day. It's almost a false promise to collaborators. You're incapable of ascending to any position higher than subjugating your own world. You're just not worthy, not biologically advanced enough even with the modifications forced upon you. In all manners, no matter your position, you are a pawn, a subordinate. Your species, the apex predator of your own planet, is simply just not good enough to be anything else. This policy that the Combine strictly keeps in place begs one question, however. Why do they still use all of our stuff? I mean, they still use our structures, creations, tools, weapons, our bodies. Well, the answer is simple. It's efficient. It's a reconstruction of what made us the apex predator, what allowed us to rule the world. They reuse what's useful and remove what is not. Biologically, they enhance our natural strengths and remove or improve upon what makes us weak. When undergoing transhuman augmentations, your genitals are probably removed, your ears, eyes, and vocal cords are replaced, your brain has lobes removed or reduced. You become the most efficient version of a human who does not need to think for themselves. It's kind of like the monolith from Stalker. The human body becomes a suit for someone else to control, or at least to heavily influence. The The persistence of human-made weapons also adheres to this concept. It's just what makes sense to use. Firearms are catered around the human body. We're familiar with them and their operation. However, this idea deviates when it comes to the type of guns the Combine used to supply the transhuman army. The majority of guns used by the Combine are all based off of designs by H&K, which makes sense not because they're the best or most efficient, but because HK is evil, and also German. That's probably why the Monolith uses them too, actually. The theme of efficiency passes into the way the Combine speak as well. There's a reminiscence of Newspeak in some of their dialogue, especially when it comes to the Overwatch AI or Dr. Breen. But when it comes to Combine soldiers and civil protection, they all use a calculated vocabulary. Civil protection can be seen mostly using human police codes, reinforcing the idea of an already functioning, efficient system being rehashed by the Combine. But Overwatch soldiers speak in a different fashion. They have an oddly sterile, medical vocabulary, using words like eviscerator, amputate, malignant. It creates a whole other layer of alienation when what is essentially a hyper-efficient remnant of a human body speaks of you, a typical human, like you're a virus, like you're biologically wrong. There's actually websites and videos that describe the extensive vernacular of the Combine, which I really recommend you look through if you're interested. You can actually find considerable research done on all of the pieces of influence the Combine forced upon humans, especially when it comes to the changes of the body. Since their creation, they've rightfully fascinated every fan of Half-Life. The Combine is simply terrifying to me, not just for the power they hold and the uniquely detached nature of them, but for their ability to remove you, the human, out of humanity.